Hey, what's going on, Purple People podcast fans? Welcome to this week's show. It is Tuesday, November 12th, and we've got the Three Musketeers in this week. I'm Kyle Smith, joined by Kyle West. What's up, man? How are you?
Hey, how's it going? I'm going pretty good. Ready to talk some Vikings football.
Nice. And we saved the best for last. Adam Carlson's here. What's up, man? How are you?
I was not ready. I had just made food, and I forgot that we were going live. So the reason why we're 10 minutes later than we thought we were going to be is because I was shoveling food in my face.
Gotta eat.
Well, while we're there, what are you eating for dinner?
I said kielbasa.
Ooh. Well, shame on you for not sharing and inviting us over. All right.
It's good stuff.
All right, guys. Well, this is episode number 370. This one's called Blessing and a Curse.
Boom.
Now,
Happy cowboy guy in the bottom right. Love him.
Yeah, if you guys can see my mouse here, we'll highlight this guy. Look how cool he is. We want to know if he's a Cowboy Viking fan or if he's just a Cowboys fan who was mistaken for them winning the game right there. If you
I get the excitement. I mean, last-minute victories, last-minute catches, that's exciting stuff. But, yeah, you kind of should hold on a second and make sure your guys got the ball.
Andrew Leota wants to know. Yeah, that's just what I was going to say. We don't get to watch Adam eat.
No, I don't have any ASMR channel or anything like that. That's not my game. I can't even watch that stuff without just cringing all over the place.
No, I'm okay. That's all right. Thanks anyways. Oh, here we go. Jackson Hole Experience. What is up, everybody? Thank you guys for joining us. And if you guys didn't catch that, this is the episode number and the title. Jaron Kearse was still on the team after recent events, and he came up with the clutch interception, so that was cool. If you guys were living under a rock and didn't see the Vikings in primetime on Sunday night, they defeated the Cowboys in Dallas. Yes, it finally happened. I will take a moment to address me being a Debbie Downer. I was fully prepared for the Vikings to lose this game, and I made it public all over my Facebook page.
You did.
Yeah, I did. But I was happy to see the Vikings come away with a victory, obviously. This puts the Vikings at 7-3 on the season, and it's kind of a must-win. If we didn't win that game, the NFC playoff picture would have been a lot more interesting than it is right now. There's a clear gap between the playoff teams and the hopefuls, but we'll get into that in a little bit.
Before we start anything else, I want to give a little bit of rundown on Survival League because this was not a good week at all for the Survival League. There were a lot of upsets this week in the NFL. And it resulted in 7. Wait a minute, is that 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7 eliminations this week. Saints and Chiefs did a lot of that work. Everybody except 3 people got a strike last week. There are no teams left without a strike. Only 2 teams have 1 strike. So this week really narrowed the competition. Is going to make it tough going down the line here. So get your picks in. Make sure you're picking smart because we're getting into the final weeks here, and it might not be too long until we have a winner named.
Yeah, this weekend really separated the men from the boys. I give it maybe 3 more weeks, and we'll probably be down to the last 2, if not a winner. Thanks a lot, Colts. Appreciate that.
Me and Jesus are the only ones left with 1 strike. Everybody else has 2. So 14 people have 2 strikes, and then there's me and Jesus. So good luck to the 16 people left, and we'll hang on as long as we can.
We're talking about that Cowboy game. These comments are great. Black Cat is a starter for the Cowboys. That's hilarious.
Yep.
Yeah, they announced him as part of the lineup. It was really weird, but kind of cool.
Oh, that's my favorite meme, Ryan. I just want to let you know that. It's all the quarterbacks that have beaten the Cowboys peeking into the corner. Saying, hey, we're just checking in to make sure you still them boys. Scott Schwab wanted to give you a shout out, Mr. West. That's funny.
Awesome.
Yeah, dude. Eileen, me too, man. I picked the damn Colts, and they did me no justice this weekend. Isn't that funny? Let's talk about the NFL. Let's round it out a little bit because it was a crazy weekend before we dive into the Vikings game. The Dolphins go on a 2-game winning streak and ruin the tank, and they fired the coach.
I've seen an awesome meme that said they fired, like, breaking news, Dolphins fire their head coach for winning.
Yeah. What's up, Rod? Oh, that's good. That could have been a good title. That's funny. Yeah, it was a crazy weekend. That game, I thought the game Sunday night was very entertaining between us and the Cowboys. Even if you weren't a fan of either team, I thought that it was pretty good entertainment. And then, of course, the game last night between the 49ers.
Oh, my goodness.
Instant classic. I think this is up there along with the Rams-Chiefs last year as far as thrills. Not as much as scoring, but it was back and forth. Defense was crazy. I think Russell Wilson still has his name out there for the MVP for sure. It's been crazy.
Not in my book, but all right.
He's pretty special. You know what else? Both the D lines for those teams are special. County looked otherworldly. That Nick Bosa guy is pretty good.
Got some skills.
Yeah, he'll be all right, I think, in the future. But yeah, it was a crazy NFL weekend. I can't believe this is going to be week 10. We're going into week 10 or 11?
11.
Yeah, we're already in week 11. But before we jump into all that, let's go down and talk about this game. The Vikings went into Dallas and won 28-24. The MVP of the night, in my opinion, was Dalvin Cook. He went crazy yet again. I like the defense in this game personally because it was bend, don't break. They were undoubtedly pissing me off most of the game, which usually happens, but they found a way to come together at the end and stop a major play. Eric Kendricks playing out of his mind. And Kirk Cousins played pretty well again. So all in all, not too many complaints. It was a good opponent. I think it was a good win for the Vikings. I don't think that was a bad team that they beat.
Yeah, the Vikings got a little bit torn up on those curl routes and comeback routes. They were playing the deep ball, playing it safe. It's a lot of what we saw against Kansas City, where Kansas City was able to take advantage of the short passes, and Minnesota was able to stop the yards after catch, which is a big deal in the NFL. So we saw that tighten up at halftime. Some adjustments were probably made. One of the major things that I saw happen here was Mike Hughes. That first half, he got picked on so bad. They were looking at him. They were throwing the ball at him, and he tightened up in that second half and made it much harder for them to pass the ball his direction. I don't know if it was him making personal adjustments, a coaching scheme change, or what, but he was able to really come out in the second half and show that he is a player that you can't really pick on like that.
Probably a little motivation from Coach Zimmer.
It's likely.
No, that was good.
A little bit of a pep talk at halftime, maybe.
I'll tell you what, for all those people that are crapping on Trey Waynes this whole season, you sure were missing him Sunday. And that's not a knock against Mike Hughes. I think Amari Cooper is definitely in the top 10 receiver conversation. Dallas has been a huge bolster upward since he came in. And he's a good receiver. I think he's in a way better situation here than he was in Oakland.
That and Hughes is still finding his footing coming back from that injury. He's got to take a little bit of time to find out what he's doing, mesh with the defense a little bit more. And yeah, it's going to take him a while to adjust. And that's the reason I think why Dallas made the decision to pick on him.
Yep. I guess we can jump in if you guys want to give away some game balls and donkeys. We'll let you guys go first.
Go ahead, Mr. West.
All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and give my game ball to Dalvin Cook, who had just another excellent game for the Vikings, like Mr. Smith said at the beginning of the show. He got it done on the ground, and he got it done with the passing game as well, too, for the Vikings. You take a look at his stats. He had 97 yards and a touchdown rushing, and he had 86 yards receiving. Dalvin to a special player. We talk a lot about how we feel lucky, like on the defensive side of the ball. Well, we're also really lucky that we went from Adrian Peterson to Dalvin Cook. That's been a very good transition for the Vikings. I think we're lucky to have him, and we're lucky to have him healthy this season from Minnesota.
I've got kind of a weird game ball to hand out because it's not going to go to a player that really lit anything up on the stat sheet. But my game ball is going to go to Jaleel Johnson this week. Jaleel Johnson, nice. Of course, had to come in. He had to start in place of Linval Joseph. And Jaleel didn't rack up a lot of tackles. I believe he had, I don't have the stats in front of me, but I think he had 2 on the day. But what was really impressive is how he was able to use his size to change blocks, to clog up the middle. Ezekiel Elliott could not run up the middle of that defense. I don't know what it was that Jaleel Johnson and Shamar Stephen were doing, but together they were really giving them trouble, and that Dallas offensive line is big and strong, and they've been pushing around people all year. So huge shout out to Jaleel Johnson stepping in and just doing an amazing job in the run game. So happy that he was able to do that because I'm a big fan of Linval Joseph, and replacing him in that middle is not easy. So yeah, Jaleel, there you go.
I like it. Solid picks. As much as I want to annoy Mr. Carlson and split game balls, I'm not going to do that. I want to give it to Eric Kendricks for that amazing pass defense on 4th down, but I'm going to go in a different direction. Anytime I can give love to someone who has a decent showing, maybe is not going to jump off the stat sheet, but still was good there, I'm giving my game ball to rookie Alexander Madison. I think anytime after Dalvin Cook, it's almost like there's not a drop-off. Now, obviously, there's a speed in the elite, which he's not really known for, but Zimmer talked about it after the game and talked about it Monday after they reviewed film and said, yeah, he keeps going. If you watch his effort, it's unmatched. And he's starting to get a little attention nationally, which is I hate, but it's kind of cool because it should be respected. But I like Alexander Madison. I think he's going to be a solid addition to the team for years and years to come. And just like Aline Atkins said, you got to give love to CJ Ham too, man. I think we're one of the few teams who use a fullback in any capacity anyways, but I think we're the one that uses a fullback the most. So shout out to CJ Ham as well.
Watching Madison is so special. He's got that power, and he's able to shake people off. If you don't bring him down, if you don't go for the legs, wrap him up, if you try to bring him down with any sort of weak tackle, you are not bringing him down. Mm-hmm. And the ability that he has to just plow through those first and second tacklers, it's something that me and Kyle Smith were talking about after the draft when we were watching the videos. He is just amazing at that. And we saw that in his yards per carry in this game. The fact that Dalvin Cook came out and Madison came in and they were still smashing the ball, just pounding it right up the gut of Dallas, that says a lot.
Yeah, Minnesota's got itself a pretty decent backfield, especially like you said, you factor in CJ Ham out there as well too with the fullback, and yeah, it's a good grouping of players there for Minnesota.
This is hard for me to pick a donkey. I don't know that I can pick one because I understand what happened during the game. You can't just automatically go to Mike Hughes because he got picked on, because I'm looking at his stat sheet here. He's the leading tackler and he has 2 passes defended. I think the linebackers, which are right there respectively on the tackles listed, great.
Kendricks gave up some big plays, missed a tackle or two. You could put him in there, but then he made a couple big plays to cancel that out.
Mm-hmm.
Mine, I'm going to the left side of that offensive line. The one sack that Kirk Cousins took on the day, it looked like Riley Reif had absolutely no faith that his left guard, Pat Elflein, was going to block. Because when he looked over, and there was a guy in front of Elflein, and there was a guy to the left of Riley, the ball was snapped, and he went over to help Elflein immediately. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's a lack of confidence in Elflein. I don't know if there was supposed to be a blocking from the fullback to chip on the offensive tackle or what. But whatever that is, that offensive line needs to get their stuff together. And if it has even an inch of anything to do with losing faith in Elflein, they have to make changes immediately. Because we've been saying it all year long, all season long. Elflein is not looking like himself. He's not looking like he did when he was a rookie. Mm-hmm. The move out to guard was supposed to be something to help him out, and so far it hasn't. I'm really concerned at that position, and I hope that his teammates still have enough faith in him not to give up their job to try to help him do his.
This is totally off topic.
Yeah, I think we're all hoping for a bounce back season.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Kyle. Go ahead.
I was just going to say we were all hoping for a bounce-back season for Pat Elflein, and it's not really happened so far. So that's definitely a question mark moving forward and into the off-season, what they're going to do with him and his future in Minnesota.
Well, this is just to get the chat going a little bit. Obviously, you guys can chime in too, but looking ahead, I'm doing way too early look-aheads and predictions, but I think it's, we're almost 2/3 of the way into the season. And you're thinking about, okay, looking ahead, I don't know where we're going to end up. I don't know if we're going to make the postseason, if we're not. It doesn't matter. But with the way Pat Elflein's played and the concerns at corner, do we go any other position in the draft, assuming some stud doesn't fall? Like if the next Aaron Donald falls, you got to take him. But do we go anything other than O-line or corner in the first round? I think that's our biggest needs right now.
Strong side linebacker would be nice.
Just thinking about the depth, man. And, like Mike Kearse was playing this weekend. He's a first-round pick. And he needs more time to develop. He's coming off an injury, obviously. Because this is only probably his 8th or 9th total game played, 10th game maybe after the CL. So really, he hasn't played a full season yet. But that elf line position and the way he's been playing, getting moved over to the left, it's super concerning.
It really is.
Oh, Rod Haas makes a great point. Dozer stepped up when O'Neal went down. Yep, I didn't hear his name called other than to say he's stepping in for O'Neal. So that's good.
Yeah, O'Neal went back in the game a couple plays later, I think, but Hill came in and he did okay. So yeah, it was a situation where you never want to see that guy go down because he's been playing at a high level. At Brian O'Neal, he's been playing real well. Just don't let the announcer say that he hasn't given up a sack, because then it'll happen.
The other thing we got to talk about too, normally on the show we run down. I'm going to try to get away from it being as bland and long and in depth to break down the stats. We'll go over some of the good stuff and brush over, but I'm surprised nobody picked Kyle Rudolph because Rudy came to play this game. Holy crap, man. 5 targets, 4 catches, 2 touchdowns, and a 2-point conversion. He was he was back into prime form. And I love this so much because Thielen's out. He'll probably be out this Sunday just to rest. We're playing the Broncos at home. It's a winnable game. We have the bye next week, so I think he'll come back in full force against the Seahawks. But Rudy showing up like this, number one, shows me he's still got something left to prove, something in the tank. Number 2, man, that puts a little bit more faith for me to Kirk Cousins because if Diggs is covered, which if you have half a brain and you're a D coordinator in an opposing team, you're going to cover him, maybe double cover him. That means the ball's going somewhere else. But Rudy came to play the other day. I was very happy to see what he put out there.
Yeah, that's why I like going last. I like going last so that you guys can pick the more obvious players. I was going to go with Jaleel Johnson if you took Cook and you took Rudy, or if Cook, Rudy, and Kirk Cousins were all picked, then I was going to go Jaleel Johnson if you guys split, because you usually do.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I had my surprising-ish game ball picked, and I decided to go with it anyway, even though you guys wanted me to go earlier.
This is a good one. Cousins gets the game ball for sticking to the game and not falling in his face. Made some great plays. Didn't fumble. INT played very well. I think this is the best. Knock on wood, the best I've ever seen Kirk Cousins play for any team. I don't know what happened after that call out from Thielen and then Diggs saying he possibly want to get traded. I think he understands. He finally found a rhythm. I'm still waiting on him to break my heart into a million pieces, so don't get that twisted. But I support him. I think he's playing good, and I'm glad to see. Good point there, Scott. I'm glad to see he didn't fumble when he got sacked, and he hung onto the ball. So, all in all,
are you guys trying to not name donkeys, or what's going on here?
I honestly couldn't think of anything coming into it. I should have did a little more preparation, but like I said, I don't want to give it to go to obviously be like, oh, well, Hughes got picked on all game. I'm not going to give it to him there. Rhodes, I couldn't give it to it this week because he was pretty much uncalled. So I don't know.
Well, for mine, I'm going to go with the Vikings defensive ends. I didn't feel like they got enough consistent pressure on Dak Prescott during this game. I know that really pretty darn good offensive line, so that has a lot to do with it. But the Vikings, I didn't feel like were able to get enough consistent pressure. Their receivers were making a lot of really deep routes that they were running before the ball was coming out to them, and so they got to do a more consistent job up front to help the guys on the back end out as well too.
Griffin, I think, got a pretty good amount of pressure, but Dallas really game planned to take Hunter out of this. They really wanted to make sure that he had absolutely no impact on the outcome of this game, and Hunter really couldn't get home the way that you wanted him to. I love that Everson Griffin was still playing at a high level against one of the better offensive tackles in the league. That's exactly what you want to see.
I'm not going to combat you on that, Kyle. I get it. I wish I would have seen more from it, but I'm with Adam on that. I'm looking at the sheet. Griffin had quarterback hits.
Hey, there's the star of the show.
What's that?
I was just holding a cat up. That's all.
Oh, nice. Yeah, not to argue with Kyle, because I think you make a point. You're used to seeing a sack from either of those guys. There's only one sack in the game, and it's split between Griffin and Watts. I'm looking at the sheet, though. There were 9 quarterback hits. 4 of those were Everson Griffin. So he was getting there.
There were hits and pressures. They were there.
Mm-hmm.
But there just weren't takedowns, and that's what you want to see.
If you guys watched the game last night with the Niners and the Seahawks, you see when these – and this is a generic statement, but you can dive deeper into the specifics of each quarterback. Some of the guys make tremendous throws under pressure, and some just can't do it. I think Kirk is one of the better throwers under pressure, at least statistically he has been. Dak Prescott is not. If there's pressure, he's very inaccurate. We saw it last night with Jimmy Garoppolo too. He was getting beat up a lot last night.
Dak Prescott was making amazing throws in this game. The fact that he was throwing the ball out of bounds and Cooper was grabbing it and keeping his feet in. Yeah. I have no idea how that was happening. I know Twitter was blowing people up saying, oh, the Vikings D is giving up these plays. How do you defend that? You can't stay out of bounds to play a ball.
Yeah, you're right, Adam. There was a couple times that ball was thrown 3 yards out of bounds, and Cooper just kept his toes in and just reached out and grabbed it. I'm like, I don't know how you do that.
Yeah, Dallas had the number 1 offense coming into this game. Number 1 offense in the NFL.
Excuse me. Andrew asked if Dallas's O-line is number 1. They were for a couple of years. I'm not sure who is at the current moment, but they're definitely still in the top 5. And I don't think any of their starters were out. If there was, it was only 1. So it was a good test for the D-line, though. I mean, we're down one of our starters. The D-ends are obviously spectacular on our end, but it's a good challenge. And sometimes the sacks don't come through, but the pressures and the hits do. And I think they did enough to keep him off balance. They were already doing great in the run. Looking at the rushing stats here, Zeke Elliott, 20 carries for 47 yards. He averaged 2.4. He didn't score a touchdown.
Oh, you guys saw Dak with those hip snaps. He's got it going on.
Oh, man, those were something else. Instantly internet famous. Just
I was laughing with that because they were talking about how him and Jimmy Garoppolo were doing it. And I was like, why doesn't anyone do the classic Jay Cutler pregame preparation where he just smokes a cigarette on the sideline and swigs it out of a bottle that's unmarked?
It's Gatorade. It's that brown Gatorade.
Oh, Jay Cutler. I kind of miss Jay Cutler for that reason. He was so like NFL old school on the sideline.
He was one of my favorites to watch. He just didn't give a damn ever.
Yeah.
Scott Schwab just giving the donkey to Dalvin Cook, tried to fumble and lost the game in that last game. Yeah, we all had
calling a toss there was just I don't know.
Yeah, all of us had a mild heart attack on that play.
That was some bad play calling. That was Minnesota trying their best to lose that game.
You know what? I'm going with Andrew here. You know what? That's it. My donkey goes to the refs at the Packers game as well. Poor Daryl got screwed out of a roughing the passer call. He has more composure than I do. He's a true professional. I would have lost my
There were some really bad calls on Carolina in that game.
Yep. We'll run down the stat sheet real quick. Kirk Cousins was 23 of 32, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He had a QBR of 67.8 and a rating of 111.5. He is continuing to throw lots of touchdowns and little to no interceptions, which I really like. I'm not going to get into too much to what some of the things I've been hearing from the national media and stuff. Like, Coward talks bad about him and all that stuff. But I think he's doing what is asked of him, and I think he's improved in the areas that he otherwise was known for not being so good at. The fumbles, taking sacks, throwing stupid interceptions. I think he's taking care of the ball very, very well this season. So
I do think there's one thing we got to talk about, though, before you dive too far into some of the other stats.
Yeah.
Are you guys, other than the one catch that just absolutely was mind blowing, are you guys a little concerned that Stephon Diggs isn't stepping up with Thielen out?
This is probably where everyone in the chat's going to hate me. I'm going to say no because this is Stephon Diggs. That's kind of the player that he, outside of like the miracle catch, that's the player he is. He's a number 2 guy who's asked to be a number 1 right now for the Vikings. And usually anytime you ask a 2 to be a 1, you kind of see this from them. Diggs is a number 2. Thielen's a number 1. We've always said this, Adam.
Yes,
so
I agree.
I'm not surprised that that's happening.
I'm not upset about it. I figured that teams are probably going to double team him because he's always got the potential. Especially when it's man coverage, it's one-on-one. He's always got the potential to break away and beat whoever's covering him. But I like it because it takes the pressure off of him, honestly. Because if they're going to try to lock him down, we have too many other weapons. Now they might not be A+ players minus Dalvin Cook. They might be B+, B-, whatever. But we have enough other ball catchers to where that doesn't matter, and it's not going to completely cripple us. And the good thing is, like I mentioned earlier. Yeah, Thielen, I'm going to say if I had to predict, it's only Tuesday, but I'm predicting they're going to err on the side of caution unless a miracle happens with this.
I'm expecting Thielen to sit out, yeah.
Yeah, I'm expecting him to be out one more game, go into the bye, and then they'll have at least 3 full weeks of no playing and then come back strong and be ready for Seattle. I mean, that's fine. But as far as Diggs, no. And he, you know what? For the most part, maybe minus 1 or 2 games a year, he'll at least give us a huge play or 2 per game. I love the fact that he got up and argued with the ref in this game when that catch went down because
what's funny was that he didn't really argue. He was like, it was a catch. The ref was like, no, and he's like, you'll see.
He straight up looked at him and said, you're wrong. And I was like, oh, God, that's pretty ballsy because from what I saw in real time, I saw what the ref saw. I was like, oh, it hit the ground. Definitely hit the ground. He adjusted perfectly, one-handed. I mean, the kid's a monster.
I was not expecting 6 targets to Diggs this game, and that was it. I thought we'd see 9, 10. Instead, we got the ball spread around quite a bit. Irv got to see the ball quite a bit. Dalvin Cook got it a lot. Kyle Rudolph was the beneficiary of a lot of plays because they really couldn't match up against him size-wise. We've all seen the infographics of the catch radius of Kyle Rudolph, and it really is impressive.
Somebody said in the comments earlier, the purple mattress. Yeah, Scott, I'm putting your comment up here for a while because I have to say winning cures a lot of that supposed crying that he's doing. When you win, you don't hear as much from him. It's weird how that works. He also wants to know, Kyle West, is that a hoverboard in your background? A hoverboard? Hoverboard?
Correct. That is a replica hoverboard from Back to the Future. It is sitting in the background behind me.
Aline Atkins makes a point that I like. Irv is starting to take some targets, and he's getting some national love as well. I've heard him on several podcasts nationally where they're talking and mentioning his name just in passing, but he's drawing a little bit of attention, getting a little bit of recognition, which I like.
I like me some Irv Smith. I can't wait to see him in year 2, where he gets like
Adam right here. Anyone feeling a little more confident with 11 getting targeted? I love it.
I don't mind it. I've said before that him coming back to the Vikings was a pleasant surprise. Mm-hmm. And so far, he knows that his opportunity was gone. He's seen that there's no market out there for him. I think it might not be a wake-up call, but it's definitely motivation.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a good point, Rod.
By Rod, yeah.
The final drive of the game, we saw what the Vikings were all about. I don't believe Minnesota passed that last drive of the game at all.
No. 10 straight.
I think it was handed to Cook, handed to Madison, handed to Cook again. I think that was the plan. And thank goodness they did because they just shoved it down their throats and said, you can't stop us.
Also, let's look at this real quick, just because we've got to mention it. God, if I could convert myself, I don't want to jump teams because I have them tattooed on my arm. But college football, let's give a shout out to the undefeated Minnesota Gophers. How about them?
That's a cool story, right?
I think PJ Fleck is a beast of a coach. I did watch that game against Penn State. Antoine Winfield Jr. is a monster. Such a good player. But tonight, college football playoff rankings come out every Tuesday. Minnesota is undefeated at 9-0, and they are ranked 8th in the nation.
All right.
Isn't this the first time? What was that article I posted in like 54 years they've been ranked this high? Yeah. That's just crazy.
They've got a great defense. I think the coach makes the quarterback look even better than he is. This is from one game from watching the entire way through, but coach makes the quarterback look comfortable, and they just kept fighting. And it was cool for being a Vikings fan seeing TCF Stadium. I was like,
if you never caught a game there, it's real good. I got to see Minnesota and Kansas City there. It was one of, I believe, my second Vikings game I ever saw when they were redoing the new stadium and they had to play there for a little while. And It really was a cool atmosphere. I would go to watch a University of Minnesota football game there anytime. But you were talking about coaches. Let's bring this back to the Vikings, because I need to talk to you about how badly Coach Zimmer's hand was trembling during the last few minutes of that game. He was standing on the sideline, and his whole hand was shaking. His play sheet in front of him was just trembling. You could see how bad he wanted this win. It was just so fun to see as a fan, to see this happening on the sideline, because you know that he's got the passion, you know he's got the heart, that he wanted to win this game so badly for himself and the team. It was amazing to see.
You know what I hate about that is that people can't be honest in interviews. If I had to watch Russell Wilson on a loop do post-game interviews, I probably would try to off myself because it's so boring. And it's no offense to him. I think he's a great person and a great athlete. It's just
but you don't want Baker Mayfield press conferences either.
Yeah, I want to hear somebody give me personality, right?
I don't know. I like the Baker Mayfield press conference. It was pretty entertaining.
I don't deserve the handlebar mustache. Come on.
I want to hear that. I want to hear someone come a little bit undone and get snappy with people, because that means they're real. And I hate that Zimmer had to say that in the post game. Was this win any more special because you used to play here, or I'm sorry, used to coach here? And he said, "Oh no." And I'm thinking in my head,
it absolutely did.
Adam saw it.
Yeah.
Adam called it out. You saw the passion and the intensity. Like, hey, look, I don't have any ill feelings towards Dallas, but did I want to win this game? You bet your ass I wanted to win this game. I have history here, and I wanted to come into this place and beat this team in particular. If he would have said that, I wouldn't have burned him for it. But I feel like they can't say that, which is kind of stupid. You know, let him have some passion. Of course, he has history there.
Oh, for sure. I'm amazed, too. There's a lot of people in the chat here saying that they noticed that the same thing, Mike Zimmer on the sideline. Normally, he's very composed. This game meant a lot to him. And I know it meant a lot to Kirk Cousins, though, even though he was trying to shake off the whole not beating a winning team on the road in primetime kind of thing.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I would love to see them be a little bit more genuine, but you also don't want to give up too much bulletin board material. I understand the fine line you kind of got to walk, but
yeah,
I would love to see more of that passion out there too as well.
Yeah, for sure.
And personality. That's one reason I loved Gardner Minshew. The guy just oozed personality. And Teddy, I love Teddy. Teddy's got one great personality. As much as Kirk Cousins is doing his thing, his Pizza Ranch lifestyle just isn't entertaining to me.
Oh, those are brutal.
Those are some awful commercials.
They're real bad.
Commercials.
It's so bad too, because you feel.
I wonder if those are like. I was just going to comment. Are those like is his Pizza Ranch like a national chain?
It is, and they're not good.
So that's like everyone gets to see that. It's not just us. I don't like Pizza Ranch either, Adam.
So I went to Pizza Ranch. This is a short story that's going to go just completely off the mark. They had a bin labeled gravy for their mashed potatoes and stuff.
Oh, it's funny as hell.
It was cream and chicken soup. It wasn't gravy. You can't fool me. Cream and chicken soup ain't gravy. And I know I've done this before, but it ain't.
Man, that's funny.
Yeah, I've been to their buffet, and I was not impressed.
No.
Not impressed at all with the buffet. No.
But that's enough about the Pizza Ranch.
we are not sponsored by Pizza Ranch. We
are not going to get a Pizza Ranch sponsor anytime soon.
I think the word of the episode here is Pizza Ranch. I digress.
You can text Kyle Smith at...
I don't even know what Pizza Ranch is, but if Kirk Cousins made a commercial with it, I don't want to. If Kirk Cousins is affiliated in a commercial in any way, I don't want to be a part of it.
If we had a Purple People Podcast rewards club, Pizza Ranch would be the code word to get the extra points.
We should do that sometime.
That'd be fun.
Running down some stats here, minus Cousins and Ham, who combined for 5 yards between the two of them. 148 yards between. Yeah, sorry. That sounded really shitty of me. Dalvin Cook and Alexander Mattison combined for 148 yards. Dalvin Cook had a score. 97 yards for Cook, 52 for Mattison.
At one time, Dalvin Cook did have 100 yards rushing in this game.
Ugh, I know. And he's so close to 1,000 yards.
It's like that Adrian Peterson situation where they tried to get him a few more yards and he went backwards a few, and it was like, oh.
Hold on, I'm going to pull it up just to make sure. Yeah, Dalvin Cook's at 991 yards on the year with 10 touchdowns. So
He's only a few yards ahead of Christian McCaffrey for the lead. And I think that bye week's really going to hurt.
Right there. That truly is another nice battle. Christian McCaffrey's really good. It's a good player. In this game, Dalvin Cook was also the leading receiver with 86 yards, 7 for 7 for 86.
He had over half the team's offensive yardage.
Crazy. 183 total yards. Diggs was right 49 yards.
You see the comparison? The comparison for the season that Adrian won MVP and Dalvin Cook, he's like right on pace with what Peterson was doing.
I did see that, but I had to come back and like kind of defend that because at this point, 7 years ago, this is when Adrian Peterson got 1,000 yards rushing in 8 games. So I don't think Cook's going to do that. I would love to see him do that, but yes, Dalvin Cook is on pace. He's leading the league in rushing right now. So
there's no way that he's going to win MVP. I don't think he's going to win MVP. I just think it's a fun comparison to kind of look at just how good of a player.
Lamar Jackson's going to be MVP. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, no doubt, Adam. I agree with you.
It's not because I don't think that he's good enough. I will see about him or Russell Wilson. It's between those two. It's
between Lamar Jackson and Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
McCaffrey at 3. I think it's between Jackson and Wilson at the moment. It's two. As much as we want to give running back love, when a guy's playing quarterback statistically as good as Russell Wilson or playing crazy with the running that Lamar Jackson's doing, there's no way a running back's going to win that award.
But Pro Bowl voting is open, so you can go vote for Christian McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook.
It's very true. I didn't know it was open already. That's cool.
Yeah, opened up today.
You can learn all of your NFL information here on the Purple People Podcast. Code Pizza Ranch for more exclusive content.
I wonder if it's like an algorithm out there where they can track down that we said Pizza Ranch that many times, and then
I'm gonna get a friggin' ad because everything's listening to me right now for some stupid Pizza Ranch tomorrow. And
you've got to Google if there's one near you just to go and let us know what you think.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Here's a good
go live on the Facebook page.
I'll put one up there for some fun. Screw it. My favorite stat of the game: Minnesota fumbled. There were none. That's really good. We went through the defensive stuff earlier. Mike Hughes led the team in tackle. The team had 1 sack, 4 tackles for loss, 8 passes defended, and 9 quarterback hits.
8 pass defenses. That's awesome.
Yeah, we
never said it's a typical Vikings game. Maybe has 3 or 4, but 8. That's nice to see.
From Hughes, 1 from Kendricks, Anthony Harris, Jaron Kearse, Holton Hill, and 2 from Mackenzie Alexander. And
they were spread out.
And the interception at the end of the game that sealed it, which is why we named this episode after Jaron Kearse. Way to bounce back after a bad weekend. That's cool. I mean, he's huge. He's like 7 foot tall, so I'm glad that they put him in for that.
Yeah, they had to put him out there on that situation.
Dan Bailey was perfect on the day.
If we don't talk about the don't talk about the weekend, it didn't happen. Isn't that how it works? We just don't talk about it.
Speaking of the weekend, is that band still around?
He is an independent artist, and he sure is doing quite well.
Excellent.
More pop culture here on the Purple People Podcast.
Pop culture from 20 years ago. It's what we do best.
Yes, we will awkwardly talk about things that don't matter here.
Because so many NFL broadcasts were using that song. I love that when the Vikings do well, they'll play Prince or they'll play that Dandy Warhol song, Minnesota. It's always something to do with Minnesota or the Vikings. I just think it's so cool.
That's funny. Sorry, I keep jumping in. I didn't mean to interrupt you guys. Rounding out the special team stuff, Dan Bailey was 2 for 2 on field goals and 2 for 2 for extra points. Good on the day. Britton Colquitt, 4 punts, 2 inside the 20, 170 total yards along with 53. All in all,
special teams was great.
Yeah.
They were great this game. There were no miscues.
Go in there and shit the bed. Excuse my French. I'm so glad he didn't go in against his former team and do bad.
And poop the sleeping area.
Interesting. I'd like to Chris Sims, a former quarterback, and his dad was a Super Bowl winner, so it's been in the family for a while. He really likes Kirk Cousins, gives him a lot of praise, likes the Vikings. The Vikings are undefeated on turf, and they have lost all their games on grass, which is really, really weird.
Well, they shouldn't do grass before games.
They shouldn't do grass during the games, apparently. Or after. Don't do grass at all. Do turf.
Yeah, we learned that lesson. But one thing I loved about the Vikings special teams in this game is they had one return, and that return got out past the 25, which it barely did because he had to break a tackle. There were no return yards from Dallas, which I thought was really cool. All in all, I love that phase of the game won because there was so much evenness going on between the Vikings and the Cowboys when it came to offense and defense through most of the game that special teams kind of felt like it was a difference maker.
Yeah, Adam, and you have my favorite comment about Dan Bailey, that it's like, it turns out the only thing wrong with him was the shitty holder.
And I called that out at the very beginning of the season.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, you did. You called that, dude.
Yeah.
It's like, this ain't right. They brought in specialists to try to teach him to hold. Didn't work.
Isn't it crazy, though, how that narrative turned into when he was missing because of bad holding? Oh, he's not the same after injury. He's getting old. And then once the formula's right, it's weird. He's back to
yeah.
And I'll admit, I was talking about Daniel Carlson, how good he's been. Then he goes and misses kicks in the Oakland game. So I'm not going to talk about how he's good anymore.
Oops.
That was an oopsie. One of them was from over 50, though, so I'll give him a little bit of credit.
Right. I'm pretty happy with Dan Bailey. I don't feel like he's going to cost us a game right now. I feel like he's been pretty reliable for the Vikings this season. So I feel like if we needed him to go out there and hit us a game-winning field goal, I feel pretty confident in that situation right now.
But Cole, Quitt, and Cutting are both really young, so they've got a base for the future there. I wish they had a young kicker they could develop with, too, so it'd be nice to see the Vikings be able to have that young special teams unit. Because who knows, Bailey might be gone after this year, he might be gone after next year. He's already tried retiring once, so I guess the question is how long is he going to be able to stick around, because the Vikings might have to play this find a kicker game again soon.
Yeah, that's a question that was on my mind. Because he had already contemplated going out one time, but he's playing great. I think the formula is good. It just honestly depends on how long he wants to keep playing.
Living in Minnesota isn't always appealing to everybody.
That's so true.
Yeah.
So damn winners you guys have, man. Oof.
But yeah, wouldn't it? Although I agree with you, Adam, wouldn't it be nice to have like our version of like a Justin Tucker who can come in and just be our kicker for
a decade,
that length of time that he was with the Ravens?
Oh,
yeah, just that length of time that he was with the Ravens, and just be reliable, and you don't have to worry about it. Like, that's kind of what we all want.
Hey, we got Vedvik, and that was odd for a while.
Sure glad we wasted a 5th-round pick on that guy.
Don't want to talk about it.
For a rental. That's good.
Oh, gosh.
All right.
Didn't he get cut from the Jets?
Yep.
Let's talk about this coming up Sunday. This is a Viking home game at 1 o'clock. Very winnable game for the Vikings. Please don't fall into that trap game situation. This is the Joe Flacco ? Led. I don't know if he's going to be starting or not.
Who's been starting there recently?
I don't know. After Joe Flacco went against management and made some public comments, he mysteriously got a neck injury that we didn't see before. So
he's on season-ending injured reserve. So yeah, he's not going to be doing anything.
Let's go back to their game this past weekend. I forget who they played. Maybe they were off.
Pat McAfee said he got injured in a press conference. That was his press conference injury.
Okay,
so we're going to get Brandon Allen.
Brandon Allen. That's who we're looking at.
What the fuck's a Brandon Allen?
I don't know. I said the same thing about Josh Allen or whatever his name was, and that guy turned out to be pretty solid for Carolina, so I'm not saying anything from here on out.
You're talking about
Kyle Allen. I don't know. They're all Allens. Allen Robinson.
Brandon Allen.
Allen Wrench.
Right now, 193 yards, touchdowns. He played football at Arkansas, and he just started. I think the Broncos had a bye this weekend, so they didn't play this past weekend. But the Vikings will host the Broncos this weekend. They are 3-6. Right now, the matchup predictor gives Minnesota an 80% chance to win. Hopefully, it stays that way.
This is the game Minnesota should be able to win.
They still have a really good running back. I like Phillip Lindsay. They have Cortland Sutton as their number one receiver. They also have Von Miller. You might have heard of that guy.
They got some good pieces on defense and offense. They've got talent. They're one of those teams that earlier this year, or a few years ago even, looked like Super Bowl contenders for many years, and then they just kind of fell off the map. I thought the same thing about Atlanta. I don't know what happened to Atlanta. They fell off too. These teams that have talent, I'm not sure what's happening, if it's coaching, players, or what, but things just aren't like going the way I thought they would.
Atlanta is a confusing team to try to figure out. It's like you look at just Julio Jones on any team ought to be
Atlanta should be putting up 35 points a week.
I hate to do this because I love talking about the whole NFL. You got Matt Ryan, he's a former MVP. You got Julio Jones, you guys mentioned. They got pieces. But, dude, the last 2 years, they are so unlucky with injuries, man.
Now, I get why the Rams are struggling. The Rams lost 4 of their starting offensive linemen.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to do much of anything with that.
Well, what's weird for you guys talking about the Falcons is the Falcons have a defensive head coach, Dan Quinn, that came from Seattle with the Legion of Boom. He was the D coordinator. Their defense is what's been terrible. Now, I know they've had injuries, but their defense has been really, really bad, and they've drafted some pretty good pieces the last couple of years. So I don't know why they're so bad. They did pull up at the upset of the week against the Saints, which is not – I didn't see that coming. I don't think anyone saw that coming.
That gave a lot of people strikes.
Yeah. But rounding it back to this game, Vikings should do all right against the Broncos. The only thing that's worrisome is they are pretty frisky. They are going to be a pain in the ass, I would say. And it's Vic Fangio. He was the defensive coordinator for the Bears, who had that great season last year. They got a lot of good pieces in Denver, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't expect Thielen. And did it sound like Linval Joseph might miss another game as well?
Linval had a knee procedure, so he might be out a while.
Yes.
Yeah.
So expect to see more Jaleel Johnson for a little while, and I'm fine with that.
Maybe we'll get him towards
There's no reason to rush Adam Thielen. You let him take this off. You let him come back after the bye week, I think.
Sit all of them. Everybody.
Okay.
Going back home to pound the beef.
Pound the beef.
That's a saying.
It is. It's a mantra. But yeah, I want to take a second too to talk about the NFC playoff situation, because right now the Vikings would be a playoff team. They'd be a wild card team. And of course, the division still isn't out of reach. There's plenty of time for the Vikings to catch up. And if they play really well and the Packers drop a couple, Minnesota could end up winning the NFC North. But assuring a playoff spot right now looks, I hate to say it, but kind of easy. Where the NFC is right now, there's the 4 teams that are leading their division. Then there's Minnesota and Seattle. And past that, there's a couple wins between the rest of the crowd and the teams that are expected to make the playoffs right now. Minnesota would almost have to have a kind of big collapse to fall out of the picture.
Which is entirely possible because it's Minnesota.
I want to say I get what you mean, because I think there's a 2-game gap between us. I think the Rams are the first team on the outside looking in, correctly. But I think that the Vikings can win every division game they have left because it's all at home. We are a very good team at home.
Green Bay's going to be tough, but yeah, I think that Chicago and Detroit should be pretty good, especially with Detroit. I don't know what's going on with Matt Stafford.
Yeah, he didn't play the Sunday. He had a back and a hip injury listed, so
it sounds like his back might be kind of a somewhat serious problem.
They had Jeff Driscoll in there. That's a guy. Yeah.
You think Stafford's going to pull a luck and retire?
No.
He's too tough, man. I'm not saying
he
he's
is.
tough for retiring, but I think he's got stuff in the tank left. I think
I think this is Stafford's first game missed because of injury too, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, there's some tough players in this NFL.
Yeah.
We're going back to the schedule, I think. So we have the Denver Broncos Sunday. We have a bye. Seattle's the toughest game left on the schedule, in my opinion. We do have to travel to Los Angeles. Remember, they did upset the Packers. I think that was a trap game. I think everything fell into place there. They're not going to be an easy out by any means, but very winnable game there. The Vikings could mess around and end up going 12-4 if they play their cards right. And that is insane to say because with the way it's shaped now, and I looked at Green Bay's schedule earlier today, we could go 12-4 and be a wild card team. It's very, very possible. Green Bay's got a favorable schedule coming up, so I don't know about winning the division. I'd love to see that happen, but I think the Vikings hold the keys to their destiny in their hand. They don't have to worry about other teams. They already won the head-to-head with Philadelphia. They just won the head-to-head with the Cowboys.
I wouldn't hate being a wild card team going into Dallas. Wouldn't bother me one bit.
No, not at all. Not at all, especially if you have Thielen back and maybe Joseph. I mean, they're only going to get better. So I like this team's chances, and it makes all the stuff from last season kind of just air out and just make you feel a little bit better. It's like, okay, look, guys, this is who we thought we could be. Let's see if we can actually put it all together. And so far, they've been doing it, knock on wood. So.
Jim Langer and his Dolphins got to pop the cork on the champagne with no undefeated teams left in the NFL. So that was interesting. I like Jim Langer. I didn't get to meet him at Fan HQ when he was doing the autograph signings there, but always cool to see a Hall of Famer for the Minnesota Vikings. Every once in a while you can catch social media and see some of those Dolphins players celebrating that they still got it. So it's fun. So you guys read any good books lately, or?
Well, we're here in the chat trying to get some screen time.
It's all good. But yeah, we're looking forward to Sunday.
Throw that comment back up.
The Packers game got flexed to primetime, so Sunday night we're going to see Green Bay Packers again.
Yeah, the Vikings.
I do think that was a good one from Scott.
Yeah, I don't think that they have to worry about being too relaxed. I think that happened. It's a good point, definitely from Scott. I don't think they were relaxed in the Kansas City game, but I thought they were. Maybe it was just me and the vibe that you got. I don't know. I wasn't in the locker room. I don't play for the team, but you're like, oh, cool. We get Matt Moore. We don't have to worry about Patrick Mahomes. The defense was gashed early and often, and they played kind of out of character. I think that was kind of a wake-up call. It was definitely a game they needed to win. It was a good shootout, but
right.
I don't think they're going to take. I don't think they're going to take the Broncos too lightly. I don't think that's in Zimmer's.
The Vikings bared up Buffalo this one.
Exactly.
Because that would be severely disappointing. This team is too good and too talented to be doing that.
Well, the good thing there too is you got to think about it's Zimmer against a younger, inexperienced quarterback, and I like the defense's chances on that. I like the defense's chances with that a lot.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
I like Daniil Hunter and Everson Griffin in this game to disrupt a lot. That's going to make the secondary play a lot better. And hopefully we'll have another 200-yard almost game from Dalvin Cook again. Everything will be perfect going into the bye.
Yeah, hold off on that excitement for that Seattle game because I'm more nervous and excited about that one. So let's let that one stay in the distance for a little while.
Yeah, don't worry about the Denver game and think we're going to go and beat them too. I'm going to worry about Denver first.
But that's all I have for this week. You guys got anything else you want to talk about?
Yesterday was Veterans Day. I just want to give a shout out to all the current and past military members that are out there that are Viking fans affiliated with the Vikings, and just say thank you. It's a great showing for the NFL too. They've done a lot. Every November they try to do the salute to service stuff, but yesterday was Veterans Day, so happy belated Veterans Day to all the vets out there.
Mr. West, you got anything?
Yeah, he does. Right there it is.
Yeah, Purple People Podcast merchandise over at phantasmdigital.com. You can also check out all my other photographs and stuff that I have up there as well too. So you can find some early Christmas presents for yourself and get a t-shirt with the Purple People Podcast on it.
Can you get a squirrel on a blanket?
You could, Adam.
All right.
You could.
Excellent. Could you get I don't know, Hulk Hogan on a beach towel?
I have sold that, so yes, you could in fact get Hulk Hogan on a beach towel, sir.
You know what? I
You
want
can
to
get him on a shower curtain too.
I want to find the weirdest thing that I can on the most random object and order it so I can be a centerpiece in this. I'm gonna have to think long and hard about that, but I'm gonna find it.
Well, I got one for you. I'm a big fan of Wayne Static from Static X, and
Yeah,
so
sure.
a while ago I did a digital piece for Static X, and someone ordered it on a onesie for a baby.
That's
So
great.
someone's little newborn baby had like Wayne Static on the front of it.
That's
So
kind
I'm
of
like,
awesome.
That's pretty metal. That's
Oh,
pretty metal. That's pretty awesome. I kind of like
super rock and roll and metal, and I can't beat that. I just thought 20 seconds prior to you saying that, what can I do? I'm not going to top a Wayne Static baby.
it.
That's not going to happen.
That's a tough one. I do want to thank everyone who takes time to head on over to the Viking Age because I really have enjoyed doing my work over there. Myself, Adam Patrick, and our great crew of writers put together some really interesting topics. Of course, I hope one that we don't really touch on too much is the fact that Colin Kaepernick has invited all 32 football teams to come to a workout with him coming up soon. So who knows? Maybe the Vikings will go check out Colin Kaepernick. You never know.
Maybe we'll be playing him when we play the Denver game. You never know. He could be a Denver Bronco.
It could happen. It very well could. Of course, the Viking Age is one of those sites that you can also get the app for. The Viking Age app is available, or the fan-sided app where you can get all broad Minnesota Vikings coverage. But of course, I will always recommend the individual standalone app for the Viking Age because I think it's really great content, and I think that our team does a great job in covering it. Also, I really love my team over at Undead Walking. We've been putting together some great articles about Season 10 of The Walking Dead. We've been really excited about the third show based in the Walking Dead universe. Recently, one of our site experts, not me, was able to go to Virginia
Turned into
and
a
check
zombie?
out No,
What?
but she got to go to the site where they were filming the third show, and she got to interview some of the cast, check out a lot of the stuff before the show aired. So I thought that was really cool. We're going to have some awesome exclusives from that coming soon. We're keeping our eyes and ears open for new information about the Rick Grimes movie trilogy. There's a new video game on Facebook about The Walking Dead. I believe it's called Endless Assault or something like that. It's worth checking out, too, if you're into The Walking Dead. Of course, the articles there are what it's all about on Undead Walking. Sarah, one of our contributors there, does a great series of WTF moments from the Walking Dead episodes, and she does a magnificent job covering them. So if you only read a couple articles from Undead Walking each week, I highly recommend you check out her work because she's absolutely killing it over there.
Yeah.
Again, pick up those apps, Android, on Apple, wherever you are. You can get those Undead Walking or the Viking Age apps. Otherwise, that's really all I got. You can check us out. We've got our Facebook page. I think that Mr. West has been posting there a little bit. I don't know if Mr. Smith's been throwing anything up there lately, but I think we've seen a little bit of content go up there. So it's nice to see some interaction going on there.
I haven't put anything up recently, but try to let you guys know.
Slacker.
I am the worst, and I will fully admit it. I am going to let you guys know my goal is to get the podcast up within 48 hours of a game. Now, that's going to be dependent on the day of the week most of the time. Vikings have a lot of primetime games coming up, so we're going to try to get that up to you. It just depends on our schedule, but we've had a really good showing in the comments section tonight, and just wanted to say thanks to everybody that tuned in and gave input. We appreciate every single one of you, and thank you.
Also, we have been trying to figure some things out because in the past, I was uploading the shows to get them up on iTunes, Podomatic, Stitcher, and wherever. Mr. Smith has taken on those duties, thankfully, because out where I'm at, my internet somehow can't handle it. So I'm happy that he's taken on that task. He's been trying to make it so that I believe you try to have it ready for the next morning, right?
Yep, and I love the reminder because I can get on now once it's done in YouTube, and then I can just go on. So what we'll try to do, we'll get the live show going, depending on what we do later on as well. When it comes to this show and this platform, we'll be able to do Facebook Live, which would be really cool because that'll save straight to Facebook, I believe. But just trying to get everything up so you can get it on iTunes, Stitcher. We're on Podomatic and wherever you listen.
Spotify. Don't forget Spotify. Everybody's got Spotify.
Yeah, Spotify is very popular. We're on there too for some crazy reason. So
I don't know how. I don't remember putting us on there.
Must be a package thing, but that's really cool. I'll give you the shout out here, Scott. And I'll plug you twice here. He said he'd like to plug something. Trying to get in here. Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Airbnb does experiences now. So anybody wants to hire me out, I'll be their exclusive local guide. There you go. He's also asked, leave that up there for a couple more seconds. Scott Schwab also asks, how many years have you guys been doing this now? Thanks for continuing the podcast. I can partially answer that right now. I came along in episode number 85 as a guest when we played the Bengals that was led by the defensive coordinator then, Mike Zimmer. So I have been here for the entire Zimmer tenure back when we were doing Skype audio. But there was a whole year and some change before that these two guys were doing it. So 7-8 years almost.
Our first video on YouTube went up on June 12th, 2012.
Holy shit. That is crazy.
So yeah, we're going pretty strong. We're over 7 years deep in this, and it doesn't feel like it because it's just talking football with the guys that we really like. But yeah, it's really been a dream to be able to do this, and the fact that people are enjoying this, coming in to hang out with us, it absolutely blows my mind all the time.
We're balls deep in Vikings football.
Hey, come on now.
What?
And that's
footballs?
Cookie crumble, ladies and gentlemen. That's how that's funny. What a great way to segue out to Stay Classy Minnesota on there.
Yeah, I don't even know where to go from there.
That's so funny.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining us in the chat. Thank you for interacting with us on socials. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing, all that junk. I know if you guys want to do that, really cool. We appreciate that. We'd love for the show to continue growing and have more people in the chat to interact with, because this is what it's all about. The interaction with people, with the fans, just talking football. We're just three guys that hang out, talk football, have a good time, and hey, you guys are hanging out here with us. You might not be here physically, but we love having you guys here to interact with us, ask us questions, get your comments in. It's helped make this show so much more fun than it used to be. It's not even close. It really isn't. Yeah, on that note, thanks again, everyone. And remember, stay classy, Minnesota.